We have big news today. Republican presidential candidate and North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum has signed the U.S. term limits presidential pledge. He joins Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, former United Nations ambassador and South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, and tech entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy in doing so. Hi, I'm Holly Robichaud, and this is breaking news on term limits. Congressional term limits is a top issue in the presidential nominating races, with several candidates emphasizing the need for congressional term limits. U.S. term limits is urging all presidential candidates, regardless of political affiliation, to sign the pledge. With presidential candidates discussing the need for national unity, supporting congressional term limits is one issue that can unite everyone. This is born out of the polling that shows that 87% of Americans of all political persuasions support congressional term limits. We'll be updating you as more presidential candidates sign our pledge. As mentioned at the top of the show, North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum became the last presidential candidate to sign the U.S. term limits presidential pledge. By signing the pledge, the presidential candidates are promising that as president of the United States, that they will champion congressional passage and state ratification of an amendment to the U.S. Constitution that would set a 2-term limit on service in the Senate and a 3-term limit on service in the House of Representatives. While the president has no official role in the process of passing a constitutional amendment for term limits, he or she can use great influence of the office to help get the amendment passed. While many candidates are signing on to endorse term limits, there's one incumbent in Congress who refuses to sign, Representative Ken Calvert of California. That's why U.S. term limits is calling him out with billboards along I-10 for refusing to sign the U.S. term limits pledge. The billboards are near the cities of Riverside and Palm Springs in his district. We hope Representative Calvert has a change of heart and decides to sign our pledge and co-sponsor House Joint Resolution 11 in the House. We've had 29 state legislative candidates who signed the U.S. term limits pledge be elected to office just this month. Many of these candidates are seeing the popularity with voters in supporting term limits. This past week, we saw 26 2024 legislative candidates sign our pledge. We expect that number will continue to grow as we approach the 2024 elections. Did you know that U.S. term limits is headquartered in Orlando, Florida? And while Florida was the first state to pass our term limits on Congress resolution, it's often referred among the staffers as the term limits state. Florida has term limits on its governor, state legislature, and recently passed term limits on school board members. Now lawmakers have filed the resolution to term limit county commissioners. Florida State Senator Sen Ingoglia filed Senate Bill 438, and State Representative Michelle Saltzman filed House Bill 57 for term limits on county commissioners throughout the Sunshine State. U.S. term limits will be ushering through this bill and providing testimony in favor of its passage. There are too many career politicians in the county offices who have served 20 or more years. We'll keep you posted on these pieces of legislation. In Tennessee, we're gearing up to pass our resolution in the state Senate this legislative session. As you know, we've already passed it in the state House this year, but we need to pass it in the state Senate to make it a reality. That's why our field team is canvassing in neighborhoods with door hangers, letting residents from Knoxville to Chattanooga know that their state representatives were supportive and helped pass our resolution in the volunteer state. We're serious about our education program, and we even go door to door to let everyone know when their lawmakers are champions of term limits. Now it's time for the Corrupt Politician of the Week, and this week we've got a doozy. Our corrupt politician is Oregon's Representative Earl Blumenauer. Representative Blumenauer has been in the United States House since 1996. Prior to that, he served in elective office in Oregon since 1973 until his election to the House. That's a long time. As you can imagine, he is no fan of term limits. The New York Times recently reported a serious conflict of interest and potential insider trading by Representative Blumenauer and his wife. His wife bought or sold stocks in bonds in CVS Health and United Health Group. These two companies offer Medicare Advantage programs, and guess who serves on the House committee and subcommittee overseeing these programs? You guessed it, Representative Blumenauer. But beyond that, he purchased stock in a number of defense contract firms the day before Russia invaded Ukraine. His response to the Times when questioned about it, it's all a simple misunderstanding and miscommunication with his stockbroker, and it was never meant to be insider trading on his knowledge. Are you sick of the corruption and insider trading like I am? I've had enough. That's why we've got to get congressional term limits passed. We can make it a reality, but we need your help. Please go to termlimits.org and get involved today. And be sure to share this program with your family and friends every week. This is Holly Robichaud for Breaking News on Term Limits. I'll see you next week.